Hello and welcome back to Old Soul Podcast. My name is Bree, that's spelled B-R-E-I. Today I will be doing a captivating trailer series, and we're going to talk about two movies specifically that the trailer is interesting, kind of what I'm getting from the trailer, and what I expect from the film. Possibly, it's just really fun to delve into the trailers and be surprised when you actually see the film. So the first film I'm going to talk about is Honey Don't. It's going to be released in 2025 with a rating of R and a runtime of 1 hour and 28 minutes, and the director's name is Ethan Coen. It's also pretty stacked with some familiar faces, so I'm expecting the performances to be pretty solid. And by the time I drop this episode, this film is probably going to be in theaters, so it's coming rather soon. So, the female private investigator that we see in the trailer is looking into a case of a victim that seems to lead back to a sort of religious cult of some sort, or of some otherwise nefarious illegal activity in which people are being exploited, murdered, maybe there's drugs involved, under the cover of religion, which often happens where, we see maybe he's a priest or a preacher, and he shows himself as this guy at a podium who's preaching to people and telling them about God. And then on the other side, we see him doing things that don't really align with that, regardless of what the religion is. Although I feel like it's either Christianity or something like that based off of the design of the church, of what looks like a church, and he's wearing a robe. So that's interesting, the sort of juxtaposition of that right away. The trailer gives also a sort of dark humor vibe, so I'm kind of expecting that during the viewing based on some of the editing choices, just where things cut and pause and get weird. I think it's definitely going to pull into dark humor. Honey is obviously the key point of the film, or the center of the film, and I don't know if they're going to do something with perspective, or we're going to see multiple people, which I saw recently with the release of Weapons, which I thought was one of the really cool things about that film. But yeah, I'm really curious about how this will go, especially because of the director. And so she's obviously the main character and seems to have a pretty well-known reputation, determined, tough, witty, and doesn't seem to be afraid to call people out, dare I say blunt in a funny way. So yeah, sign me up. By the time you're listening to this video, like I said earlier, it's probably going to be dropped because I'm recording this maybe a few days before that film's going to be dropped. But I just had to talk about the trailer because I've seen it so many times and I've been really looking forward to seeing the film. And I hope you go see it too. Hopefully it's everything I was hoping for. Okay, so the next film that I'm interested in seeing based off of the trailer is The Long Walk. It's also being released this year, 2025, with a rating of R, and it's 1 hour and 48 minutes. The director of this is Francis Lawrence, and I believe that this is adapted from a Stephen King story, but I'd have to do a little more playing and looking into that because I've never read it. So it's really interesting when you're watching something that's adapted from something else, because I do think when you watch adaptations, you should totally give the show or the on-screen version its own separate entity. What is it as its own thing? But of course, when something's adapted, previous fans of the original work, especially if it's written, are really gonna want to see a lot of similarities. And I feel like with directors, they have their own takes, their own understandings, and I'm pretty sure Stephen King has had issues with directors adapting his work in the past. And that's understandable because he wrote it, right? So there's a lot of layers to this, but let's go back to the trailer. So it's definitely giving a dystopian horror vibe, psychological thriller, as these young boys are walking to their death. What is the state of their world to feel that they need to do this in the first place, even if they weren't gonna die? It seems a bit extreme, so I feel like there has to be something going on. What's the sign-up process? Why are there no women or girls walking? And because of there being no women or girls, it makes me wonder if this is a population control issue. The men in charge seem to be government affiliated because of what they're wearing and the sort of weapons that they have and machinery. I don't know why else these boys would listen to them. They look like they are in rural or Midwest America based off the setting and the fields and the endless fields. But some of the accents make me think that maybe some of the characters are from all over the US specifically. It seems that a few of the boys are building emotional bonds or possibly even went there with friendships, as we see some shots of them encouraging each other. But how will that work out when they realize that only one person can live? So I'm very curious about that ending, even though I'm pretty sure I'll be heartbroken, as I know that people die, as we see in the freaking trailer. But yeah, the idea of walking with no real rest, pain, blood, sweat, and tears literally, and death as disqualification, that's very dystopian. Terrible. Okay, so yeah, Stephen King loves to fuck us up. I'm excited to see what the director chooses to do with this, and maybe it'll convince me to go and read the written version and see how I like that. So this has been a captivating trailer series. Let me know what you're looking forward to in these films, or what you noticed in the trailers that really have made you interested. Yeah, thank you for listening. Bye.